Fuck up my notes here.
Oh shit, sorry. All right, man. Get into it, bro. You intro it. You're the one who knows how to do shit like that.
Welcome to Pros and Conquerors, the bad boys of history. We're gonna be looking at, the dirt on these statues. We're living in a time right now where people are starting to question, like, hey, were these guys really all that great? I enjoy the day off and everything. I heard some good things, but now it's like, no, he was actually a monster. What do you think about the current state of things right now? Like when we're questioning history, I think it's a good thing to look at what really happened. But as far as taking it down and everything, what's your thoughts on that right now?
I even said I was talking about this with somebody else, and I was like, the position that I'm gonna be in this podcast is not tearing statues down.
Okay.
Like I don't think that should happen, because then it kind of wipes out history, I think. So even if the person is bad, like, you should know. Because if there weren't monuments of Christopher Columbus right now, would we be questioning all this stuff?
And that leads us right into episode 1, Christopher Columbus. I forgot to say that's what we're talking about today. But we didn't learn in history class. We didn't learn all the bad stuff people did. And the other thing is I was sleeping a lot of the time in history. So I didn't know that much to begin with. But as I looked into Christopher Columbus, as I did my research leading up to this, the good, the bad, the ugly, what the people say tear him down say, what the people say leave him up say. I wanted to get a full grasp of everything. And buddy, I'm on the fence because this guy, Christopher Columbus, there's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad. And then both sides are fabricated like crazy. Like the good is fabricated like crazy. The bad, people say, he discovered America. He never set foot in America as we know it. He discovered the Caribbean and South America.
No.
He never came to America.
You never came here, North America?
Did you do any research?
No?
Buddy.
I thought you were doing the research.
No, I did research. Well, I'm excited to tell you about it. Then. That's
fun. Tell me about it. No, you have to.
Okay, so in 1492, he sailed the ocean blue. We can all agree on that. This guy set out for India. He was looking for India.
Okay, so right now I'm still saying that his statue should be kept up. All right, that's what he did.
And leading into the statue kept up or not, I do want to say before we even get into this, like I hope this is going to be a great successful podcast. I hope all of you guys are going to learn a lot, and we're going to have a lot of fun learning with you. But one thing I want to try and decide, like as we go, is like if the statue was put up for the guy being a great humanitarian, then yes. When we find out they're a monster, maybe tear that shit down. Like, I'm sure we're going to get into some guys like that where he was made up to be such a great person, but maybe he wasn't. Now, Christopher Columbus, he has statues for discovering America. He doesn't have statues for being a good guy. He doesn't have statues for being a nice guy. That's where it's like,
true.
Those ones, it's like, okay, now there's 6 countries that have a Columbus Day. And there's I lost count. I was telling you, I tried to count the monuments. I lost count after 60, but I scrolled. There must have been at least 200 monuments over North and South America because he's known for the guy that brought Europeans to this side of the world.
Of course, yeah.
Now, the questionable thing is people say, oh, he didn't discover it. Native Indians were living here already. Of course, they were. But he brought Europeans over here.
He discovered it for Europeans.
He discovered it for Europeans. So that's what... The honor is not about finding America. The honor is about finding a land to the west. Meant to find India, ended up finding the Caribbean. That's why Native Indians were called Indians. Did you hear that before at least?
Yes.
Okay.
That's
so you got the general.
I've always known that, yeah.
Yeah. So when he came over, fucking 1492, the first time he came, he said that the natives were such kind and loving people. All right. Such kind and loving people. Now, here's where people start to get ugly with him. Because they say, from his journal, they pulled out a line that says, these people were such kind and loving people, they would be easy to make servants.
Oh.
So this is where people got the idea that Christopher Columbus started thinking slavery. All right?
Oh.
Now, upon further investigation, the whole line in that journal excerpt is servants. These people would make great servants to the Lord and willing to accept Christianity. So a lot of people pull that out and say this guy started slavery. Like, I'm not a history expert, but I'm just saying the journal excerpt, the excerpt that they took out, they cut out that last part. So with the whole thing, it's like, yeah, no doubt the Catholic Church was sending people around, and they did some gruesome shit too. So I'm not saying that doesn't mean he did bad stuff, but his writing was not about making them slaves. It was about turning them over to God.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Yo, you went deep.
The waters get muddy. And I was thinking, what better way to find the gray area than with a white and a black? You know what I mean? That's exactly and it. Pros and Conquerors, the bad boys of history. I'm your host, James Cummins, and I'm here with Colin Cummings.
Fucking right.
We didn't even introduce ourselves. So, episode 1, we're in it. Christopher Columbus.
Yeah, man. That's something to know. That was a good intro, by the way. That was fucking solid.
Hell yeah. I didn't even mean to do it, but it worked out that way.
Yeah, right? But that's crazy. Okay. So that makes sense then. That happens a lot in history.
And here's the next part that it, like on his first trip, what he said. So first trip, he says they make good servants to the Lord. And then he says, I could come here with only 50 men and take over the whole place. Now, there's different accounts of how many people he wiped out, like what people say. Mm-hmm. Some people say there was 3 million. The more accurate number might have been 250,000. But he's either way, 250,000, 3 million. Look back on a man in 1492. He looks at that many people and says, I could take this over with 50 men. Like, and people say that as like a bad thing about him. I'm like, yo, this guy was a fucking G. This guy, like, we're talking about back in the day where taking over, like, yo, emperors taking over, trying to conquer the world. Like, yes, it's not a good thing, but at the same time, buddy, if you're looking at a country with 250,000 people and you're saying I could take this with 50 men, you gotta understand that he would be your favorite character in Game of Thrones or whatever fantasy show you're watching. You'd be like, this guy's sick.
Wow, that's so true.
That's what I was thinking
when you just put it into Game of Thrones. I'm like, yo, that I just thought of like some guy's voice being like, I could take this whole territory with just 50 men.
It reminded me of Khaleesi. I'm like, Khaleesi.
That's what she did. Yeah,
from Game of Thrones, she would go to a place and she's like, yeah, you guys have that many people, but I got something up my sleeve. Khaleesi is the Christopher Columbus and she turned out pretty bad too in the end too, actually. But it did make me think, okay, if this guy was a TV show, would I think he's a sick character? And I think that's what we should think about.
That's actually podcast. A good way to think about it. How would I look at him as a TV character? Because I love Khaleesi. My girl loved Khaleesi. She was like, I love this fucking taking over shit. Like, she loved that shit.
Yeah, man.
But she was murdering people the whole way.
Definitely. Right? And sometimes in gruesome ways. Sometimes in being a monster.
Yeah, being ruthless.
But in history, like, I feel like, I don't know, man. I'm sure the more we talk about it, the more we'll get a gauge for what was acceptable. But there's a price of inflation on everything, including slavery, including rape, including murder. All of that stuff was viewed way differently in the 1400s. It was like, you look at, we can agree, rape, bad, not good.
Everything.
Vikings, known to rape and pillage, they make TV shows about it. We all watch and we're like, these guys are sick. You know what I mean? That's the fucked up thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. I never thought of it like this. Bro, you've been fucking thinking about this, eh?
Man.
This is
I didn't know.
You went down a real rabbit hole though. Like, this is all, yeah, you're right. Wow. So, okay. At this point, do you tear him down? I don't think so at this point.
At this point, okay, a guy comes over. He says, I want to turn these guys over to God. Everyone was doing it. Cool. Christ was cool. Look at how that turned out. The Bible's the best-selling album of all time. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So at that point, no. At this point, he hasn't done anything that bad. Saying, I could take over this country with 50 people, no matter how many of them are, just because like they were so behind technology-wise and like just didn't have guns. You know what I mean? Like.
But that was the thing I was going to ask. Is he saying that because they're such loving, kind people, I could just pretty much round them up? Or is he saying that we can murder all these people?
Well, I don't think he was saying we could murder them all, but I think he was saying that they would be easy to... through
religion. He's probably like, I'm going to present religion to them, and we're going to go
you take it or you get murked, though.
Yeah.
Which was... And he did get violent with them, like, on his next visits. Like, he was making people... give him money, or he would cut off like their hands, like, oh, that's not enough money. So he did gruesome shit too.
And at this point, what country actually is this? Is this America as we know it, or is this the Caribbean?
It was the Caribbean. So he was in Cuba, Dominican, Trinidad.
And who was in these places at this point?
Natives.
So
there was a tribe called the Arawak. The Arawaks. And that was like the big tribe at Hispaniola, which I think turned into like Cuba and Dominican. Like I don't know if he called it Hispaniola or was that what it used to be called. But basically, Christopher Columbus was on a Spanish expedition. Like he was riding for the Spanish king.
Yeah, of course.
So he was bringing Spanish people over, and yeah, the Arawak tribe was there. So, like I said, first they said there was 3 million there. Then so worst case scenario, what they say is there was 3 million people there, and after 5 years, it went down to 60K.
Oh man!
But then the people that give him, that's like the real Christopher Columbus haters. That's what they say. But the more middle of the road people said there was about 250K there, and it got cut down to 60K in 5 years, and then over 50 years down to 0. But
I believe the 3 million.
I'm glad that you don't know anything about Christopher Columbus, because this is like something that I learned yesterday that I was surprised by. How long do you think Christopher Columbus's reign in the Americas was?
Reign?
Like,
I didn't even know there was a reign.
Not reign, but he came over
3 years.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be more, like, because they said like 50 years wiped out the whole population, but no, he came over in 1492 and he died in 1506. So he died in like his mid 50s.
Oh, true.
So he didn't he wasn't around that long to do all of this dirt. You know what I mean? But people say he wiped out the whole race, but it wasn't. It's so confusing because
he didn't do it by himself. First off, right?
He didn't do it by himself, and here's another thing. Like I feel like I'm defending him too much because I do have a lot of bad. I have a lot of bad things to say about him too. Don't worry. If you're tuning in for your first episode here, there's gonna be a lot of bad too. But I'm just thinking one other thing that he gets blamed for is the bringing the blankets over with diseases on them.
Okay,
but that
Smallpox.
wasn't. But apparently that wasn't him. Smallpox didn't happen until the 1700s. And he died in 1506. So the thing that he is blamed for, or the diseases that he brought over was Europeans and Asians at that time have already domesticated animals. Okay. They have chickens, they have cows, they have pigs, whatever.
Stock, yeah.
Native Indians weren't doing that. So when he came over, and all the European settlers he brought over started bringing animals and like domesticating them, the natives weren't as immune to like certain diseases that animals bring in when you're living with them. So just bringing them into the city and living with them, it was fucking up natives. Like they were getting like the flu and shit.
And is that what they talk about when they say like 90% of them were wiped out by disease?
Yeah,
they start talking about that. I don't believe that.
That's smallpox. That's that.
I straight up don't believe that. I think they like
yeah.
When it comes to the whole,
I don't believe that either.
The whole like, oh, we just came over and we coughed and like all these people started dying. I don't believe that. I think they straight up murdered them. I think they went in. They're like, we need all this. We need this to start a new land.
Yeah. I won't argue with you there, man. I think they did a lot of bad shit. Fucking.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. And yeah, okay. What's another bad thing? I want to make sure I give some bad stuff about him because
you can be a Christopher Columbus apologist.
I'm not a Christopher Columbus apologist, but like we said, just as far as if he was a TV show character, would Christopher Columbus be a sick guy? And I'm just thinking the whole part about him saying 50, I could bring 50 people over here and take over the whole fucking place.
Yeah.
That doesn't get you a little fired up to be like, yo, Christopher Columbus was fucking live, yo.
I would watch the show. 100%.
Watch the show for sure.
If he just rolled up. And the thing is, you're saying they were in the Caribbean and there was natives there. I don't believe that either.
Why?
Because.
Who do you think was there?
Well, my sister actually tracked my father's bloodline back all the way to the 1500s.
Okay.
And like his family was there.
Yeah. 1500s. So 1492. Columbus sailed the ocean blue, which is a great intro to you saying that your black ancestors are from there in the 1500s. Well, another thing that Christopher Columbus gets blamed for is the transatlantic slavery.
Oh, okay. But these people that I'm talking about, they were something called they were marooned on this island. They were like maroons, and like they fought, and like Britain ended up actually having to sign a treaty with them. because they were killing too many British soldiers.
Yeah, I think British came in right after Spain. So Spain.
So
Columbus found it.
that would make sense. My dad's ancestry is Spanish.
Okay. Yeah. So Columbus found it. Spanish people are there.
Fucking
and then
bastard.
once the
Columbus.
British people knew that shit was over there, then the British people came over and they're like, I think that's when they got North America and shit.
Wow.
Because at that time it was the Caribbean and South America. Like that's why all the Spanish people in South America.
So I'm from the Columbus era. That's where my bloodline comes from.
I guess so, man.
Isn't that fucked up?
It is fucked up.
So holler. I gotta keep the statue up. It's my man.
Oh,
He brought me through.
well, that's the other thing. It's like, I when I do think about these guys that did a lot of fucked up shit in history, especially for Canada and America, like not, I'm sure somebody out there knows more than me and probably and could teach me about it. But these guys did fucked up shit, yes. But now we live in Western civilization. We have Canada and America, and it's honestly probably one of the best places to live in the world.
100%.
So,
And we know each other.
yeah.
We would have never
You
met
gotta
otherwise.
break a few eggs to make an omelet. You gotta fucking kill a few natives to make a country, and you gotta do a little slavery too. Apparently, it's fucked up, but that's history.
But that is true, right? Like right now we live in this age of like your phone, like how much you can do with this phone and the apps that are on it. But every time we use these things, we are endorsing slavery. Like there is a place where they're working for like nothing to make these things, and they're like trying to kill themselves over it.
Yeah,
like,
man, it's really fucked up.
So, like maybe they'll talk about us like this one day. They'll be like these pieces of shit. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Cotton's warm. You know, they pick cotton. They're like, oh, I need shirts. You know, you need things.
It's very difficult to look back on how ugly history is, but I hate the slavery part. I hate the rape part. But when it comes to the killing and conquering, I got a little respect for that part. I'm against genocide, obviously, but when you're going to a country and you're just like, I want to take that over, and at that time, like, you were a warrior. You weren't just a fucking. It wasn't Donald Trump. You know what I mean? He wasn't gonna go fight with fists. No. There was kings back then that fought for shit. There was they actually got their hands dirty and they're like, I want to take that over. And that's how their men respected them.
100%. Yeah.
And that's the thing, like Christopher Columbus wasn't a king or anything, but that's how he earned respect, because he came over here and he conquered. And this is Pros and Conquerors, the bad boys of history.
Yeah, it's true. Even when you started saying that, the first thing I thought of was Trump. 50 Cent was like in this interview and he was like, there's something I respect about somebody who's like just as willing to like be like, I'm gonna do this and this is what I'm doing and it's gonna work because I say so. Like he's like, there's a respectable thing to that if you make it work.
He's definitely Trump has a ton of confidence, I'll say that. Fucking, and so did Christopher Columbus. 50 men. I could take this place over with 50 men, because
that's the thing.
It's wild, man. And he did. And that's the thing. Like he didn't bring back a whole bunch of people. He came back and yeah, he, like you said, like I doubt that whole 90% of the people were killed off by diseases. Yes, we can agree that that's bullshit. Like I would say max 50%, and that's even a high guess.
I don't even think it was that. I think they knew that these people fed on buffalo. I think like, and I'm talking about when they were, I don't know what. I guess this is like North America as we know it. Like they fed on buffalo. They knew that. The settlers started murdering all the buffalo because they knew they took away their food source. Like they were actively trying to get them the fuck out of there. Yeah. Like we would look at it like probably like apartheid right now in like modern day. Like the way they just kept taking and taking and taking and taking. Yeah. Reducing it to nothing.
And even if the part about him just wanting to make them convert to Christianity was real, back then, like these Christian crusades, like they did kill people for not becoming Christians. Like 100%. It was like, oh, you don't want to accept God? Go to hell.
Yeah, 100%. Go to hell.
And yeah, so he gets blamed for. That's the thing. Like I did a day of research. I didn't fucking spend weeks on this shit, but I would like to know what his real involvement with slavery was, because he gets blamed for the
beginnings of slavery, like all of it.
He gets blamed for bringing the transatlantic, which means bringing over Africans to the Caribbean, pretty much, because he came over in 1492, so that's when they started. Already Portugal was in Africa heavy at that time. Spain had like a 1-2 and France had like a 1-2 down there, but fucking
but isn't that good for me? Like, isn't that a good like now when I look back, isn't that good? Like he like literally like those. That's why I exist because he brought people to the Caribbean. Because I'm all Caribbean. Like it's just like Cuba, Jamaica, Barbados. Like
I love the Caribbean.
Like
and,
he populated that place, and then
yeah,
my
I mean,
family came from there.
And Europeans came to Canada and everything, and like and America, and that's all good and everything. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's a tough one. Yeah, hindsight's 2020. Slavery's bad.
Like what? But should society be grateful for what he did, or should they like show hatred towards?
It's really tough, man. It is really tough because okay, so people say he didn't discover America. Natives were already here. They also say he didn't discover America because the Vikings back in the day, what's his name, Leif Erikson or something like that. He discovered Greenland and like Newfoundland and shit. Okay. So they're like they were already here, but and then there was a Irish guy even before the Saint Brendan. He came over and he discovered like some parts of America too. But those guys didn't hold that shit down. They came over, they saw it, they didn't start anything up here. So you can try and take credit away from Christopher Columbus in that way, but at the same time, nobody came over and said, I'm going to come over here with 50 men and take this whole place over.
It's crazy.
And that's why, like, love him or hate him, he deserves some respect for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for that. It's so funny because it's like, I don't want to attribute, like, these good words to him. I was going to say bravery, but I didn't want to attribute, but it's like, that is a pretty wild act to even set and see. Like, imagine us being like, yo, we're going to go to this park right now. We're going to take this over. There's only 4 cops there. There's only about 80.
Oh, that would be brave.
90 people there. We'll take it over. Like, let's go.
We both have guns. Most people there don't. We're like, what are they going to do?
Yeah. Like, how crazy would that be?
That'd be crazy. I thought about that when I'm looking out at the lake, that like back in the day, there was emperors, there was kings that would just look across the ocean. They would see an island and be like, I want that.
Yeah.
And they would actually like send men to go get it. Or sometimes they would they would say, oh, go check it out for me. All right, it's cool. I'm going to come over with my sword and start chopping heads off and shit. Like, it's so fucked.
It's so crazy.
It's so crazy that was like just in men that they wanted to just take shit over. They're like, I don't have enough. I'm in my castle. I'm eating good. I have I have a couple of nice wives. But no, I see there's land over on that island and I don't own it yet. I want it. Yeah. What the fuck?
But you know what? That's still in men today. Like if I gave you like $200 million, like it would come out in you. You'd want things.
Yeah, and people are always saying buy land, real estate.
Right? It's true. Of course. 200 million, you could buy like all sorts of shit.
Yeah, that's buying. That's not taking it over with
But that's how you'd look at it, right? Because we don't do that anymore. But you'd look at it and be like, I want it. And if there's someone standing in your way, you'd try and get them out of your way.
Bidding
like
wars and shit.
Yeah, you might not kill them or anything, but you'd be like, how do we get this person out of here?
Yeah. You call fucking Leo from that 1010 commercial. You know what I mean? There's 10 things you need to know about real estate. Number 1, call me. I'll handle the other 9.
Leo, who the hell's Leo?
I don't know, but that other one, that line, the next one was Sammy McDaddy or something like that. He has those very thick eyebrows. You see him at Raptors games sometimes. He sometimes
with the turban.
No, but he's boys with that guy. Like he sits around him sometimes. True.
They're like a whole little gang.
I don't know if they're boys, but they sit in the same section.
They're for sure boys.
Yeah, like you sell cars, I sell real estate. Link up. Let me fill your driveway. Let me give you a driveway. Let me give you a whole house.
Let me fill your driveway, bro. You gotta say pause, bro. Come on.
Really?
You never believe any pause moment I give you.
I gotta fill your driveway. Do you call your ass your driveway? Pause. Or your mouth? What's your driveway? Your ass or your mouth?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Yeah, fucking okay. So another thing let's get back to this Columbus.
Yeah, Christopher
another
Columbus.
bad thing. So another thing that he gets a lot of heat for is in one of his journals, he writes that about child sex slavery, that the 9 and 10-year-olds are very popular with the European men.
Fuck.
Okay? Now,
Jesus.
Couple things about this. The journal that was translated.
Yeah.
Was translated by British, who were not the biggest fans of Spanish
Of
at the
course,
time. They're like,
yeah.
oh, you want to take over that? No, we want to take over that. That's why there's North America, English, South America, Spanish.
Sure.
They were both gunning for the same side of the world. So I don't know how much we can trust that. Also, here's the other fucked up thing. So, and love or hate Christopher Columbus, this is going to give you some respect for him too. So that whole quote was apparently, well, who's to say what's true or not? But what the defenders say is Christopher Columbus got a lot of heat for being gruesome to the Europeans when they came over too. The way he was ruling was like basically like if you fuck up, like he was cutting. Okay, so apparently Christopher Columbus was very harsh on Europeans that would take part in sex slavery. They came over. If you were seen with a 9 or 10-year-old girl, like a young girl, he would cut your nose off so everyone would know you're
Holy fuck.
a bad guy. Like you would look ugly in the town because they would know you fucked with a young person.
Yeah.
He would cut your nose off. So he got thrown in jail for that, but not for long because Spanish people were still like, this guy was sick. Like he got us that whole area.
Yeah.
He got thrown in jail for like a couple weeks because of how harsh he was being to Europeans. So this guy was a gruesome guy, but that whole the writing back to Spain about how that was his letter after he got out of jail.
Okay.
Saying the reason he did it, the reason I cut those noses off is because the 9 and 10-year-olds were popular with the Europeans. Now the haters of Christopher Columbus cut out the part that just says the 9 and 10-year-olds were popular with the European settlers, and leaving out the part about that's why I cut their noses off, and that's why I went to jail for it. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So it's pretty fucked. Like
they're doing them dirty a little bit.
They are. Also, this is off just a day of research, so I got to remind everyone, like, if we really look deep into it, there might be more truth in either side. But like I said, the good side's fabricated, the bad side's fabricated.
Always.
Bad side saying he was endorsing the 9 and 10-year-old slavery. The good side saying he was cutting noses off for it. That's way different ends of the spectrum. And like,
yeah.
And when we look back on history, how do we know what to believe?
Well, you can find proof. If they say he was cutting off noses, they'd have to at least find one instance of him actually doing it. Maybe not an actual body or anything, obviously.
Yeah.
Because the nose would be gone anyway. But I don't know, something. Some kind of record kept. And the question is, he could cut somebody's nose off and go to jail? Like, if you're in the position to cut someone's nose off, aren't you like immune from jail?
So that's the thing. He was in the position where he's calling the shots, cutting people's nose off, taxing people. If you don't bring me enough money, cut your hand off. But when word got back to like the kings and stuff about how gruesome he was being as a leader, they made it okay. You know what? You guys can put him in jail until we come over there and like hear what's going on. And that's when in his journal he explained his side of things, which is also he could be making that up. You know what I mean? He could be. So who knows? But what we know for sure right now is that he was definitely fucked up with the natives. He definitely killed off some natives. 100%.
Yeah.
That's 100%. But the whole starting up slavery or turning them over to making them servants of God or making them slaves, or was he involved in sex slavery or punishing people for it? At first glance, at least, on a day's research of looking at the good and bad, I spent maybe 2 hours looking at the bad stuff and 1 hour looking at the good stuff. Because I wanted to get really deep into all the bad stuff he did, and then I wanted to see, okay, now what do they say good and what do they say to defend against that shit? So I could come with a good full spectrum of everything. And the one thing I'm convinced of is he definitely murked natives. He came to that country and said, I could take this place over. So whether it was about he just had to kill them off to make room for his own people, or they weren't converting, one reason or another, he did some bad stuff in that way. Like they even say the Arawak tribe, he would serve them to his dogs. Like he would kill them and he'd make them dog food.
Really?
Yeah. So he was a gruesome guy. He was definitely a gruesome guy. He was a violent guy.
But you know what? This is the thing. Like by the standards of that time, was he like really that gruesome?
That's what I'm saying. The price of inflation on fucking. I feel like that's gonna be a running theme on this podcast. It's episode 1, so we don't have a gauge yet. But I do feel like we will have a better understanding to look back on Christopher Columbus as we get a couple episodes in to see what's the inflation on the 1400s when it comes to how was rape murder, and slavery at that time. It's always going to be bad. Like those are all bad things, but it's a way different thing than it is to look at through today's scope and
back then
yeah.
They used to have like that's what I was telling when I was at Matt's place. I was telling his roommate, I was like, because she was talking about like racist people. I'm like even the most progressive person like way back in the day of like slavery times was racist.
Oh yeah,
like if they were here, they'd be extremely racist, just extremely. They'd be horrible.
They would get caught on camera saying, "Oh, this guy was being a Karen for not letting me, you know what I mean, hold the door for him." Because back then, like those, it's so fucked.
It's weird, man. It's a weird thing to think about. So then, the question becomes, I mean, like, I don't know how much bad stuff you have, but like, what do you think? You think it should actually be, and where should it be torn down? So in the Caribbean. Listen. Okay,
so here's the other thing. So when the United States made Christopher Columbus a holiday, only 23 states out of 50. How many states are there? There's like over 50. So less than half made it a holiday. So some of them were because they have a strong native community, or at least like a good love for them to say like, you know what, that'd be fucked up if we made it a holiday. And some of them call it an indigenous holiday. But some of them didn't make it a holiday because they have a strong KKK presence.
True.
And the KKK hates Christopher Columbus because he's seen as a symbol of welcoming Europeans to America.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really interesting that the two sides of there's two types of people that are against Christopher Columbus. People that,
and for what reason?
People that hate what he did to natives and maybe took part in slavery as well. And then there's people that hate that he's a symbol of welcoming immigrants.
True.
It's fucked that like those. So the people.
So weird.
And then you have Tony Soprano that says fucking Christopher Columbus is a hero in this house. You know what I mean? So that's another cool point for him. If you're a fan of The Sopranos.
But yeah, of course he's gonna be seen as a hero. I don't know. Like I was just gonna say, in the Caribbean, I guess they shouldn't celebrate what he did, but like he made the place. He's like from what you're saying, he's like the George Washington of the Caribbean.
We'll do an episode on George Washington. I don't know nothing about him, man.
Well, I just mean in the fact that like he was like like George Washington, that
gangster shit.
Yeah,
motherfucking thanks that he gets.
Yeah, exactly. He was seen as like the guy who like the guy who started off.
I think the place he gets the most love is South America.
Of course,
South America. Like when I was looking at all the places that have monuments for him, like, oh my god, Argentina has so many. Colombia, obviously Columbus.
Mm-hmm.
So. Yeah, man, he's celebrated in a lot of places, and I don't know if there's a lot of pushback against him in South American countries right now, because in United States and Canada, well, Canada we don't really celebrate him, but in the United States it makes sense because he didn't really do anything for America. He just brought Europeans to this side of the world, and now they celebrate him because it's like we all ended up here because of him.
He's the plug.
He's the plug.
He is the plug.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, I found a place. We can all go, and there's these guys there, but you know, well,
they don't have to be there if we don't want them there. They're kind of cool though.
He's like, they're nice.
They're loving and generous.
They can be servants of the Lord in heaven.
Damn, is that what he meant?
Maybe that's what he meant.
Yeah.
They'll make great servants.
We can send them to heaven. They're so nice. They'll go straight to heaven. That's fun.
Yeah, man. You just I don't know. So in South America, definitely, I think they should. I don't know. I don't think there's any pushback towards him there.
I should have looked into that.
But there, they shouldn't be tearing him down. In America, I don't think they should be tearing it down in America. Just because it's like, just the fact that you found all this out. You wouldn't find all this out if there was no statues of Christopher Columbus.
You know what I found out also is that the fact that if you want to look for reasons to tear him down, you can find it.
Of course.
If you want to look for reasons to celebrate him, you can find it. And if you want to look for reasons to be totally confused about whether you should be liking him or not like him, you can find that too. Like
100%.
And that's the thing. Like people that have decided to go this lane of tearing down history, they can make a strong case for it because you can take out that one line from the journal without the whole context of it.
Of course.
You can take out this part where he says 9 and 10-year-olds, where it might have actually been he was punishing people for doing that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was definitely fucked. He was violent. He for sure killed a lot of people. But in 1492, he sailed the ocean blue. He got to America. He said, "Hey, I see 250,000 people here. Let me bring 50 of my best guys back here, and we'll be good." And he actually did it. And now America is mostly Europeans, like mostly European heritage.
Yeah, it is. It is. So he did them a great service. All the white people, I guess, who were condemning him. Oh, that's a little ungrateful.
Yeah. Oh my God.
A little ungrateful white people. What's going on with you guys?
It's definitely fucked.
And it's like, it's not like he worked with the Europeans. It's not like, you know what I mean? So like these white people who are like against Christopher Columbus, like he was working with your ancestors.
I honestly, the vibe that I got from it when I look at it, unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
British people might have used Christopher Columbus as a scapegoat. His like I said, his journal was translated by a British guy.
Yeah.
When you think about who's the biggest terrorist group of all time, and when you look at the worst things in history, British people. British people also mostly took over fucking Canada and U.S. too, like a huge amount of them. So Christopher Columbus just opened the gate, and they're like, yeah, he did all that bad shit. Well, they're
populating the whole place,
bringing over slave ships, like 100%. They did horrible shit, and then they said, "Oh no, Christopher Columbus started that."
Yeah,
that's the vibe I got from him, because I'm like, he was alive 16 years, and you're blaming him for a whole genocide and for the whole transatlantic slave. Like, it's like
true.
It didn't.
True. Yeah.
It didn't really make. It doesn't add up when I look at it. And fuck the British.
Except you, Lewis. You're okay.
Oh yeah, Lewis said he wants to come on when we do a British hero of history. So we'll definitely get that fucking.
Lewis is gonna be like, tear it down, just tear it down. Doesn't need to be up. It's too much anyway.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said before, like I think the whole gauge has to be like, okay, if they put up a statue for this guy was a great guy, humanitarian.
Yep.
Let's put up a statue of this great human. Then you find out, oh, he was involved in rape, sex, slavery, anything like that. You're like, no, he wasn't a good guy. Get that. What are we honoring for? No. But if it's the guy found the Americas and he's the reason that we have a huge European population over here, then that's all you're remembering him for. You're not remembering him for being a good dude. He was a conqueror. He was a guy that explored the world and fucking killed off places to get his own people over here to get for, or maybe turn them over to God at best case scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
But either way, he was a guy that was violently taking over countries and did a great job doing it.
Like most people were at the time. That's how you took over a country. You did it violently. Like that was the currency.
There was a time where people would rape and pillage, and now there's a time that we make TV shows about those same people, and we like those shows. But it's like
TV shows about them. Chris Hansen,
Vikings.
Oh yeah, Vikings.
No, these days. Oh my god.
I thought you meant Chris Hansen.
Oh my god, that's fucked.
It's true, man.
It's so fucked. Have you ever seen Norseman?
No, what's Norseman?
Norseman is like a comedy version of Vikings. Like it's like Viking shit.
Yeah.
But it's funny. It's on Netflix, and it just reminded me of, like, shout out to the women warriors who could rape too, because they're like, oh, this girl wanted to join the army. This is a comedy. Girl wanted to join the Viking army, and they're like, well, a big part of our thing is fighting and raping. And like, you can't do that. You're a woman. This girl just punches the guy in the face and just gets on his face and just starts humping his face, like in front of his whole tribe, and they're like, all right, you're in. So yeah, shout out to Brea.
That's so funny. Norseman, it's called?
Norseman, yeah. Check it out. There's 2-3 seasons. It's pretty funny.
Comedy. My girl will probably like that. She likes Vikings.
Oh yeah, she'll like it for sure. It's good, like, action too, but yeah, man, it's really fucked because like right now we know all this stuff that they did was bad, but like I said, the one thing I have to give a little respect for is
the discovery,
conquering.
Yeah,
conquering is pretty sick. Like guys that did big things like Genghis Khan and shit. Like,
we all have some kind of respect for a conqueror. The only one that people tend not to respect is Hitler.
Yeah.
But when you bring up like Genghis Khan, people are like, what he did was insane. Like
Genghis Khan took over a huge part of the world, and like,
yeah,
just being like not a king that sat back on his castle, like a
Yeah.
guy that was fucking out
In
there
the trenches.
in wars.
yeah, you'd see him.
And that's the thing, like the same thing with Christopher Columbus. This guy was getting his hands dirty. He was getting blood on his hands. And that's a bad thing that we look back on and say, oh yeah, he definitely cut people's hands off. He cut people's noses off. He was ruling with an iron fist, man. I feel bad that I'm because I am on the fence because I there's things that I just don't know. Like I didn't get a concrete view of, was he really involved in slavery? Was he really involved in the sex slave stuff? That part it seems very cloudy because there's both sides of the argument seem convincing to me.
Who wouldn't be involved in slavery at that time? I don't get it. Like as slavery was coming up, as they figured out, as these kings in Africa were saying, "Hey, we got fucking slaves over here." Like who wasn't getting involved in that?
But that's the thing. He was only alive for 16 years, so I don't know if he was. I don't know if he was. They say that because of the line about him saying they'd make good servants, that he started opening the door to slavery. But
like they had slavery already at that point. It's not like slavery was a new thing at that point.
slavery was around
Forever.
Moses.
Yeah, exactly.
Was a slave, wasn't he?
I'm pretty sure. Like the
That's
Jews,
what the
Jews
movie
were
said.
slaves.
Prince of Egypt or whatever.
The Jews were slaves at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how slavery went back far.
Yeah.
Gladiator.
So it's not like
Maximus was a slave.
I gotta watch that again.
I haven't seen it for a long time, but that movie's great. But that when he turns like, yo, when Maximus gets the reason to fight, that scene was so emotional.
Yeah, man.
Goes back, finds his wife and son.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotion in there.
Joaquin Phoenix, man,
he's so good. That whole movie was incredible. But yeah, so then South America, they could keep him up. The Caribbean, I don't know if there's any monuments to him there. I would think there would be.
I scrolled through, but
There probably would. If there is, I think they should keep him up. We're having a good time in the Caribbean now. I exist because of like the Caribbean being populated.
But it is a tough thing to look back on. Like, I just think the guys that were involved in slavery, to look back on that part of history, it is tough. So that's why, like, I would like to know more about what his real involvement was with it. Because the way I see it, okay, in America, like some guys that I'm sure we'll talk about in future episodes, like when some of these statues get taken down, and I see white people getting upset about it, like, oh, but that guy was sick, like General Lee or whatever, Confederate flags, let's say.
Ulysses S. Grant, that was a big one.
Okay, so I don't know much about them, but when we get to that, the one thing I'll say about that is, if I was a black guy, and trust me, I think about that all the time, and I was looking at stuff like that, it's like, okay, if I had a new girlfriend and I still have pictures of my ex around the house, you know what I mean? Maybe I have good memories with her, but those are like, that's a shit thing for that new girl to be looking at, and that's how I feel like.
Oh wow!
If I was a black guy in America and I'm looking at shit like that, it's just like, yo, that disgusts me to see that. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how good your memories are with that flag or with that fucking general, like when I look back on that, it would be hurtful and disgusting.
But you know what? Yeah, I would agree with that. But I would say that's how that's supposed to be. That's how we're supposed to look back at history. It's supposed to be uncomfortable because we don't want to repeat it. Like, we don't want it to happen again and again. So we do have to like always see it and be made uncomfortable by it. So you can know that a black guy who sees that might feel one way, and some white guy whose father fought in like the Alamo way back in the day, like, or grandfather, great grandfather, how he feels about it. He feels pride towards it, like whatever it may be, Confederate flag, a statue. Like, you're supposed to know that we're supposed to be able to come together on that and kind of share all those views. Like, it's supposed to be there for us to know. Because the one thing, as a black guy, the one thing that I've always had a problem with is that you don't see enough of our history at all. Like, we don't know anything about our history.
Yeah.
So if all of a sudden I was a white guy walking around and I did know my history and I'm walking in the United States and people are tearing down these things, I would feel kind of fucked up, because I'd be like, they're taking away the shit that I'm supposed to know and see. Like they did it to black people. They did it to black people in Egypt. They've been doing it to black people forever. When you lose your history, you lose your way completely, and then you're guided by whoever comes up.
That's a interesting way to look at it. Yeah,
because you need it there. Because I'm sure if you could erect all of the history in Africa, if you can restore the Library of Alexander that was burnt and probably showed how to build the pyramids and stuff, like if you could find all that stuff again, you're gonna see terrible shit. Like I'm sure whoever ran Egypt, King Tut, I'm sure he did horrible shit. Cleopatra, I'm sure she did horrible shit. You know, like I don't know.
Oh, but sure, especially like, yeah, the further we go back in history, the less human we viewed other races, other religions as.
True.
So right now, it's still like that. Like it's still like people have a warped sense of like equality, like you're a subhuman, like you know what I mean. Like there's people that still look at other races like that. So imagine 100%. In the 1400s when you just came over from Spain, where like you have a gun, you have this, like, and you come over and there's guys in cloth or whatever that like looks like
the Stone Ages
to you. Yeah, that's the word. So you come over and it was so hard to it's so hard to gauge a Cleopatra, a King Tut, where they really looked at themselves as gods and their 100%. Own people as like ants, and then below that their ants were fucking this other race of people that they viewed as even lower than that. Like, that's such a
insane.
How different? Wow.
It's weird, man. But I think you need it all there. You know what was suggested? Somebody suggested. It was actually Matt when I was talking to him. He was like, there should be a plaque. And then I brought up, I'm like, yo, there should be a plaque of just pros and cons.
Yeah.
It just says their name, and it's just a plaque, and it just says all the pros, all the cons.
If you came here to look at the bad stuff, it's on this side. If you came here to look at the good stuff, it's on this side.
That's it, man.
Yeah, man. No, that's actually the most reasonable thing to do. Instead of coming and cutting off a head or knocking over a statue, put a plaque up next to it that says this is all the stuff he did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Decide if you want to honor this guy, or if you're looking at it being like, wow, this guy did a lot of fucked up shit. Now, some of these guys that are in America that I don't even know what they did. Like Christopher Columbus, I feel like this guy did a major thing.
Yeah, he's not playing around.
He didn't discover America, but he settled the Americas.
100%.
He made it a European settlement, which is a massive thing in the history of the world. Like the Western world is a world superpower.
100%.
And it started with that. So it's like you got to give him respect for that. How he did it might have got dirty.
Questionable.
Most likely it did. But yeah, man, I definitely think at the end of the day, I don't think we need a Columbus Day. I don't think
I've never celebrated it.
We don't have it in Canada anyways. But I'm thinking
I've never even acknowledged it. Like
American wise, like I don't think Columbus Day is a necessary thing. But as far as like a statue with a plaque next to it saying, "This is the guy. This is the reason most of us are here." Black and white, apparently. Fucking you're bringing over Europeans, and they're giving him the badge of starting slavery, which I don't know if he deserves it or not, but he probably played a role in it.
Hey, man, Spanish people, man, they bring the party. You know, Spanish, they invite everybody to the party, and sometimes they get a little wild.
Yeah. Somehow I'm just blaming this one on the British, though. I'm just like
they
scapegoated him.
What you're saying actually makes sense. I mean, it's history, right? His story. Like if they're just like the ones, they're like, okay, we can just make this look however. Yeah. Hey, maybe he was like saint-like, and they were like, fuck that. We don't want him to seem like that.
Yeah,
we don't want
translated his journal. Like how fucked up is that? They translated his journal like a guy that wasn't.
Right, and even if they didn't do it purposely, just because they had the mindset of who he was, they could have been like decoding it like poorly and been like 9-10-year-olds were favorite. I think he's saying the 9 and 10-year-olds were favorite. Like he could have been, and then they just assume what he's saying, right?
Yeah,
there could have been a lot of shit could have happened like that.
There's one section of people that look back on Christopher Columbus and shit on him for being a monster, and then there's other people that will shit on him for saying he was an idiot. And the reason they say he was an idiot is because he was sailing for India.
Yeah. Found
America's. Oh, what an idiot! How do you miss that, buddy? I don't know how. We didn't have GPS back then. I'll get lost right now.
Right?
And then the other thing they call him stupid for was he apparently said in his journal that the world isn't flat. Like everyone thought the world was flat then.
Yeah.
So he gets credited for that, but they're like, oh, he didn't say the world was round. He said it was shaped like a pear with a nipple on top.
It's true.
Huh?
It's not shaped like a pear, but apparently at the top there is a hole. So from up, it would look like a nipple.
Interesting.
Isn't that
How
fun?
the fuck did he know that? That's weird, eh?
That is weird. That's
the 1400s,
really weird.
And people like shit on him for that. Like when I was watching the videos that are against him, like one of the videos that was making him seem like such an idiot. They're like, this guy wasn't that great. He was so stupid. He thought the world was shaped like a pear with a nipple on top.
Yeah, but you know what? Think about what that person would know at that time. If they were just a regular person at that time, what they would know. They wouldn't know anything. They're leaving YouTube comments. So what would they know at that time?
It's fucked.
Absolutely nothing. They wouldn't know anything. It's weird. It's really weird.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, so
it's like more than a culture shock. It's so odd to think about.
Yeah. Oh man, it's a fucking Going back in time to that time and just hearing how they would discuss things would be like
right
foreign, even if it was in your own language. You know what I mean? It would be like
100%. Even to just think of what they thought was important, like going to other lands and like finding shit was important back then.
Yeah, that was a job. That was like send 300 men to go do that.
Yeah,
like it wasn't like a soft thing. It was like a whole. It was like basically instead of having a warehouse, it's like you just have this group of guys that goes and does things for you like that.
You just murder people. You got militias, basically. So what else about Christopher?
I'm trying to see it. I feel like I've said too much good things about him, to be honest.
Man, it's okay if there's a bunch of good things. I mean, he is responsible for a lot of
this was a
things.
plus and minus for what Christopher Columbus represents. What I got from it is that he built, he inspired the Americas to get built on the struggles of Europeans. You know what I mean? Come over here. You know what I mean? You're struggling in Europe. There's hope in America.
Yeah.
But he also built America on the struggles of natives by making them struggle. You know what I mean? Hurting them, doing terrible monstrosities to them. Do you know any native people?
No, I only know people that are like part native.
Okay.
I don't know anybody that's like full native.
I have a native aunt.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I went to the reserve one time. It would be interesting to talk to somebody native about this and actually like get a full scope of like how they view it as well. But I was thinking like if I knew any native comics, but I don't know any. But
no, I've never seen any actually. Yeah, I think I interviewed
Christopher Columbus killed them all.
No,
or their ancestors.
No, I interviewed actually I just released a film, C. Ann Kane, that's what she calls herself. She's an artist. She's native. That's it. That's the only native person.
There's a rumor going around in my family that we might be part native too.
You seem native.
Really?
Yeah.
So my grandma's mom, apparently my uncle, he thinks that she's native, like when he looks at pictures of her and stuff. So he's gonna do some investigating and find out
I can see that.
if she was like half native or something.
Why don't you just do 23andMe? It'll tell you.
I'll try it out.
I'm not doing it.
Why? Because I never wanted to do one. What do you have to send in a spit sample or something?
Yeah, you gotta give them your DNA, and then they tell you a bunch of stuff.
Yeah,
and then they keep telling you stuff as they find out more things.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that.
Yeah, it's weird. Plus, it's like the same people who own like I think it's like the wife who owns like the owner of Google. It's his wife that owns this company. So I'm not into that.
Yeah,
that seems a little odd to me.
There's already like the way these things can read your mind and everything. Like they know enough information about me already. They've got thousands of videos of me jacking off in front of my webcam. It's just
thousands. Why'd you give him so many?
I just never cover up the screen. You know what I mean?
Damn, man. I got the tape. I got duct tape on my shit.
I thought you were saying you have the tape of me. And I was like, pause. You should pause that.
There you go. You gotta get your pauses in.
Yeah, man. Anyway, so yeah, fucking episode 1, Christopher Columbus, Pros and Conquerors, the bad boys of history. I think this is a great starting point because I feel like personally, I know you're saying leave statues up and everything. For me,
Well, as I learn about the people, depends what they did, right?
Yeah.
Like if it's all bad and like we just got fooled into some shit, then yeah.
yeah, and I think like okay, one that I'm excited to do, and it might be episode 2 or 3 is Gandhi, because Gandhi's a guy that he did good stuff, he did bad stuff, but also one of the main reasons he's recognized is for being a good, holy man, not for being a conqueror. You know what I mean?
Okay,
which I think
stop. We'll bring it up.
it's just gonna adjust the scope. No, I mean like when you look at a conqueror, we're honoring this guy for being a conqueror.
I know. Yeah.
When you look at a guy that's known for his non-violent peacefulness, then there's a whole different way to look at it.
I know. Yeah, don't go into it. Look, save that sauce. Don't give him that. Don't give him that for free.
Man, this guy. We just gotta give him love for Christopher Columbus. 50 men. I see 250,000 people here. I'll come back with 50 men, and I'll take this place over. The respect on that,
bro. In 300, when he said I'm taking 300 men,
yeah,
I was like, what? I was like,
yeah.
Let's
So
see this.
So imagine that story being told from the other side, where it's like,
right?
oh, Leonidas, he murdered all these people, and he said that his warriors were way better. And the other people were just savages. He could take them over with 300 men.
He was such a white supremacist that he only brought 300 men with him.
Yeah, this peacekeeper came over and said, "Hey, can we all just live in harmony?" And he kicked him into a hole.
That's what the story would be, though, right?
That's what the story would be.
They would change it, and
Yeah.
it would be like he just massacred so many men.
He made children fight.
Yeah,
Remember the opening scene,
true,
buddy.
Yeah.
That movie, I fucking love that movie.
Loved it.
I seen it like when I was in first year university. I might have watched that movie like 5 or 6 times. Like
easy. I've watched that fight scene where they're just going like straight. It's like one of the first fight scenes, and he's just like carving through everybody. It's fucking incredible.
Great movie. Yeah, history.
I loved it.
Is that a real character in history, Leonidas?
Oh, don't tell me, man. I don't want to know. It's real right now in my head.
Oh, you watch that movie, you're like, this really happened in history.
Didn't it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I honestly don't know. Yeah, we got more research to do. Fucking, and we'll learn. We'll keep learning. And I think, okay, the jury on Christopher Columbus as far as today, I feel like I defended him too much, but I'm not even that on his side. I just feel like the whole journal thing, when I found out that it was translated by British people, that whole threw me for a loop.
Yep.
And then when I saw 2 of the main excerpts that he gets shit on for the most, when I saw the full line about these people were so loving and nice, they would make good servants, and people, that's one of the worst. And then it's of the Lord. I was like, okay, hold on a second. Then I'm like, that whole part just made me like, okay, now it's not that I'm on the side of Christopher Columbus, it's just that the way that he gets shit on, I think, is very questionable in how they try and make him out to be a monster. I'm sure he killed a lot of natives.
For sure.
I'm just not sure about the child sex slaves and opening the transatlantic slavery thing. Like, I don't know his involvement. Maybe I should have done more research, but I'm sure whoever watched this episode knew more now than they did before.
You're fucking right, they did.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I'm as curious as everyone is watching at home. I'm excited to learn. And Christopher, I'm glad that I looked into it, because I did.
Yeah, you did a bunch. That's crazy.
It did make me, like, before this, when I heard Christopher Columbus Day, I didn't know shit he did. I knew that they said he discovered America. That's it.
Yeah.
Now, the last couple of years, I started hearing, oh yeah, he was actually a monster. I didn't look into it until last night. I did about 2.5 hours of research, and this is what I came up with. And at the end of the day, I'm very. If somebody was shitting on Christopher Columbus, I'd be able to tell them that he was not that bad. And if somebody was saying that he was great, I'd be able to tell them that he wasn't that good. And that's where I'm left.
And that's where you want to be, right? You don't want to be picking sides and getting on a team and all that shit. It's just looking at it from both sides. It's much better that way.
Yeah.
Much better that way.
Like I said, who better to find the gray area than a black and a white? And getting the dirt on the statues, pros and conquerors, the bad boys of history. I think this is a great place to wrap it up.
Yeah, 100%. We're at like an hour.
Sick. So yeah, I'm James Cummins.
I'm Colin Cummings.
With a G.
With a G.
Oh, I should say there's no G. I'm Cummins with no G. The only G is me.
There's an actual G in my name.
I am an actual G.
We get like this because they're both Irish names, and his is the fake Irish name, Cummins, and mine is the real one, Cummings.
Actually, Cummins is the Catholic way.
See
Cummings,
how they twist the story.
Cummings is the Protestant way. Protestants known for slavery.
So
as us good Catholics.
So we are the real G's. That's what you're saying.
You're the Northern Ireland.
What up?
You're the Northern Ireland side. I'm Republic of Ireland.
And
side.
you'll do nothing. You'll do nothing.
Yeah, that's me.
And I'll keep the G on my name. And you'll do nothing about it.
You're confused.
You'll do nothing.
No. Who the fuck is this? You'll do nothing. Yeah, man. We'll get into Northern Ireland versus Republic of Ireland another day.
I would love to. I'd love to hear about that because I know nothing about that. But I know it's wild.
I'll bring my granny in for that episode.
They're like bombing shit.
Oh hell yeah!
Like wow.
Irish car bombs. That's what they.
Oh yeah.
That's where it's from.
The head of what's it called? The IRA.
IRA. Yeah.
We should talk about.
I have family in that.
Like
that's great uncles. No, like far.
No, not like a cousin.
No, not. They're still popping over there, but
of course.
But anyone that got their hands dirty, that's like probably like my granny's brothers or like her uncles, like that kind of like far back.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
That's why you're saying fuck the British. Your whole stance on Christopher Columbus is tainted now. Oh, I get it.
It's good to get that in at the end because when I heard that the British were involved in translating that journal, I was like, well, throw the baby out with the bathwater then. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. We'll get to more pros and conquerors of the bad boys of history, or maybe we'll even talk about some alleged good boys and see see what the fuck they did. Anyways, peace.
Sick.